Here.
Campbell. Here. Guerrero.
Here.
Hilbert.
Present.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
First item on the agenda this evening is the budget hearing. I need a motion to open the hearing on the 2021-2022 school district budget.
Stahl.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, seconded by Josh Hilbert. Call roll, please.
Campbell. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, I presented the tentative budget back on August 18th, and it has set for public viewing since then, readily accessible in the unit office. No one looked at it. When we get to that portion of the board meeting, I would recommend that you approve the 21-22 district budget. Unless someone in the public would like to speak in regards to the school district budget.
Okay. So then I need a motion to close the hearing on the 2021-2022 school district budget. So moved. Jessica Browning, is there a second?
Second.
Matt Wood, call roll, please.
Guerrero.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Browning. Yes. Campbell. Yes.
Time, 6:02. At this time, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Josh Hilbert, is there a second?
Second.
Matt Wood, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, so now we enter our regularly scheduled meeting, 6:03 p.m. Can you call roll, please?
Browning.
Here.
Campbell. Here. Guerrero.
Here.
Hilbert.
Present.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
Okay, and Mr. Meadows, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I see we have a few people in the audience tonight. I want to make sure that we make notice that we are a school board meeting, which is a private meeting held in public. So if you would like to make any statements, they're held in 5 minutes. The board's not allowed to respond, but we are allowed to listen and take your information. Is there anyone that wants to speak this evening?
After speaking with multiple parents and dealing with the quarantine myself, my daughter just got to go back to school after 10 days. She did not understand an assignment that was assigned to her, and the teacher responded with, "It's a guessing game, figure it out." If we're going to quarantine students due to exposure, but still allow teachers to teach while they have positive cases in their home, or while they were involved in a sports activity that was also quarantined, why is my kid being pushed to the side and not being taught what she needs to? She's having, multiple kids in the district had lots of issues last year remote. They only have 10 days at home now, and they're still having issues, and they're just being pushed over, and that is not fair to them. I feel like my child is being failed by Sangamon Valley, and I feel like as a parent right now, we have no say in any of it. There's a lot of things that have come to light in the last few days that I really hope Sangamon Valley really steps up and takes care of. And I guess I just hope that things really change.
I would say, have you talked to your building principal?
There was a call put in and she was gone.
Okay, and so you're waiting for a response from her?
Yep.
Okay, that would be our direction. I mean, that's obviously your chain of command, is to speak with her, see what type of resolution you can come to. If you don't have resolution there, then I would advise you go on to the superintendent's office and go from there, because we're not really in charge of day-to-day things, nor in charge of the teachers. So That would be my guidance. And as far as, COVID quarantines, we're held to what the state tells us that we have to do in relation to the quarantine. If you're vaccinated right now, they're told you don't have to quarantine. I don't know what teacher you're referring to, and don't say it out loud because we're in open session. But if she or he is quarantined or is vaccinated, they're not required to quarantine unless they have symptoms. They're just asked to test at day 5 or 6 and make sure that they have no existing COVID that they could potentially be spreading. That's from Illinois Department of Public Health at this time. So I don't know if I can touch on anything else, but there are a lot of different COVID quarantine issues that we're going to discuss later that are different because we're in 2 different counties as well. So some people may be getting information, and if they live in Sangamon County, where they're getting a little different information in Macon County. Hopefully we're going to have a little more guidance. We've all been approaching them over the last couple of weeks, trying to get some things lined out as we get further into school year. Okay. Anybody else?
I would just say, if you don't mind, could you send an email with your concerns to your building principal and CC me on that? And you can be as specific as, names, what happened, that sort of thing. If it's in writing, then I can go through and address each one of these items with the appropriate personnel.
Right.
And it's more helpful for me. So I would appreciate that if you could.
Okay. At this time, I need a motion to enter closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda. Motion made by Martha Leeper. Is there a second?
Second.
Lori Campbell. Call roll, please.
Campbell. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. Motion to accept the closed session minutes as read in closed session.
Still have it.
Motion made by Josh Hilbert. Is there a second?
Second.
Matt Wood. Call roll, please.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Browning.
Yes.
Campbell. Yes. Guerrero. Guerrero.
Oh, yes, Karen.
Distracting her.
Yes.
I can't keep up.
Good for Gary. I know. All right. I need a motion to employ Mary Ham as an at-will bus monitor for the 21-22 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Matt Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Lori Campbell. Call roll, please.
Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Browning.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes.
Motion to approve, consent agenda. Anyone have any questions relating to the information we were provided? Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper. Is there a second? Josh Hilbert, call roll, please.
Browning.
Yes.
Campbell. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Hilbert.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Stahl.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
All right. Superintendent's report? Yeah.
First up, I have updated enrollment numbers. I created a little document and put it at your places. Thanks to our pre-K expansion, we've added 4 students in pre-K since August 16th, I believe was the last report that I provided you. Lost 1 kindergartner, gained a couple first graders, and lost a second grader for a total of 152 counting pre-K in the building, plus 4. Like to see positive numbers or increases at those lower levels. Intermediate buildings of plus 2. These were taken off of T-trees today, so I hope that they should be accurate. Plus 2 at the 3rd grade puts us up to 50, plus 1 at 4th, takes us to 44, plus 1 at 5th to 40, for a total of 134. In middle school, we added a 6th grader, lost 1 7th grader, gained or lost 2 8th graders. for a total of 116 middle school. And the high school, we lost 6 compared to the numbers we thought we were gonna have. We're down to 45, I believe. 10th grade, 54. 11th grade, 47, which is a -1. 10th grade stayed the same, by the way. And then 12th grade, where we're down 4 students. And again, these students, these numbers are students that attend Sangamon Valley. We may have some that are actually our students that are attending programs outside of the district, but these are our in-house numbers. 199 at the high school, up down 11 from August 16th. Total district enrollment minus pre-K 594. And you see last year, we finished off the school year at approximately 614 students. So we're down a little bit enrollment wise. Next up, I have COVID-19 numbers, district-wide so far. 21-22 school year, 303 students have been quarantined.
That's separate counties.
Yes, total from the beginning of the school year, 303 total. 21 positive COVID cases, 18 of which were students. And pretty sure that we've had 2 close contacts that eventually tested positive during quarantine, which is a very small percentage, like 0.006.
Actually, private school.
Yes. Current numbers, we have 26 in quarantine and 3 positive cases. It's much better than where we were a week ago. And hopefully that continues to drop.
I think like we've talked before, when parents are also diligent in keeping track of your child's sick, stay home. If you're sick, keep your child home until you have a negative test. I mean, we're trying to do what we can here, but we also have to make sure that no one's coming to school ill, to try to prevent as many close contact quarantines as we can. And I think it might be a good time to just go over, I know I contacted public health in both counties last week. I think we have an update. Did you hand everybody that?
And I think the crowd would have it as well.
And I was just trying to at least inquire with them as to why we were not able to test out at day 6 or 7, get a negative test and come back early. They said that's not allowable. The reasoning is there in the paperwork. And they are sticking with the 10-day with no symptoms, 14-day in Sangamon County. I think they're allowed the 10-day also with no symptoms, are they not? Am I misspeaking or saying the straight 14? I don't
Sangamon
have
will allow you to come back with
a test at 10?
it's 6 and you can return on day 7, I believe, with as long as you're asymptomatic. I might have to check that, maybe that's not accurate, but
I think it says if you've been determined a close contact within 3 feet, they're sticking to the close contact. If you're a close contact beyond that, I think the way their site reads, anyway, they didn't respond to me. I emailed, I voicemailed, I did everything but show up on their doorstep, and I didn't get a response. But Macon County did respond and sent that information. Obviously, if metrics change, I think they're all willing to change things down the road, but right now, this is what we're to adhere to. So obviously, we want as many kids here as much as possible, so just trying to keep everyone as healthy as possible is what we can do.
something to add to that while we're discussing it before we move on. The tracings in the tracing quarantines, exclusions, I guess they're going to be maybe referred to now, will really stay basically the same. we'll continue to monitor close contacts. If they have been indeed deemed as a close contact, then the district does have a right to exclude them, and the governor's executive order, the latest one, even goes as far as to say that we're obligated to exclude students from school. So I know there's a lot of confusion about timelines, and it is hard to keep up on. It's hard to keep up on because it changes so often. But I would like to ask the public to be kind to our secretaries and our principals, because they get the brunt of this. They're the ones that are doing the contacting, our school nurse as well. They've been through a lot, and I know that the parents have too, and I don't want to
diminish that.
right. And the majority of the parents are doing what we're asking them to do,
And based on your numbers, it appears to be working. Again, downtown residents, they have diminished, so, and I think we have to sort of expect that at the beginning of school, when you're getting everybody back together that's been everywhere and done everything over summer, and, you know, hoping that now that we're in, we can maybe keep these numbers to a minimum, but, sorry.
I don't really have anything else to say.
You wanted to point out board subcommittees that we had assigned we got it passed out last week. A lot of the stuff we do, because we are smaller, we do tend to do just here with everyone. There are things that have the curriculum, if there's something that they're going to be doing curriculum-wise, it's going to take several meetings to try to narrow it down to a few options to bring to the board. We've met in committee before. I know grounds and stuff have met in committee before. Long-range planning, when we do a lot of the co-op stuff with the other districts, they sometimes meet first and bring back to us what we're going to be doing, you know, that kind of thing. But a lot of times we do try to make it where we're all involved and just accomplish it all together, unless it's something, like I said, that'll be multiple meetings. So, do anybody have any questions about committees or subcommittees? And usually you'll get that information from Bob or myself, asking you if you can attend at a certain time of day. And then obviously if you cannot, we move on to the alternate that's listed in that position. Try to get at least obviously the 2 people there and go from there. Do you have anything else to add with subcommittee?
Nope.
The curriculum director's report?
Mr. Meadows asked me to discuss with the board a new advisory committee we have tried to put into place. We're kind of piloting it with the 6 through 12 grades right now. It's a secondary curriculum advisory committee. And the purpose of this, I did a curriculum audit as part of a group through my doctoral program a couple of years ago, and we actually went and did a full curriculum audit on the Freeburg School District down in Southern Illinois, kind of the southeast part of the state, or southwest part of the state. And as part of that, we were reviewing all their documents, looking through things, and we came across this curriculum advisory committee bylaws document that they had, and I kind of discussed that with them and how that worked, and I thought it was a really great idea that they had kind of put into place as part of the, and it's a high school district there, that they had done it to kind of bring teachers in more, to give them a little bit more ownership over the curriculum, you know, as the content experts that work with it every day, you know, really getting them involved in doing more of the research and discovery versus just, you know, one person kind of, you know, or a couple people getting all these different materials together to go and review and then bring back to them to see what they think. So we kind of put some of that together and asked for volunteers, and we had our first meeting back in August on the first couple days of school. And what we did is the whole purpose of this will be, as you've seen in the report that I sent you through email, is to kind of prioritize the needs of what we're looking at, things that need to be replaced, or if we need additional resources, or we need, I don't think we're in too bad shape with alignment and stuff at the secondary level, because we just did a lot of that a few years back. But it's always good to kind of do gap analysis once you've had turnover and things like that in certain areas to look at, and just always kind of go back and revisit. So we formatted a departmental report. Today, actually, middle school and high school met separately just within their departments, and they're going to come together next week on our October 1st School Improvement Planning Day. And it'll be the whole middle school and high school departments together. And then they will complete the departmental report, which we gave them kind of a template to follow. They will then submit that to me. I will compile all the results, and I will share that with the advisory committee. And then we'll meet together in November to kind of start looking over those things. Then again in January, our School Improvement Day, to kind of finalize recommendations to provide to Mr. Meadows and the board at that time. Really, this year is about us just kind of developing a baseline of where we're at. You know, we've had this crazy last 18 months to kind of look at things and see, you know, are there big ticket items that we need to really look at? Are there smaller things that we need to do that maybe just the departments themselves can take care of? But we're going to kind of compile a prioritized list of those things and just start chipping away at it. But I think it's going to be a maybe a little slower process than what we've done in the past, because the teachers are going to be more involved in, you know, compiling the resources, looking them over, reviewing them, and then having some discussion about them as we do start adopting new things. But I think it's going to be a real good thing. It'll be, you know, a lot more deliberate because it's really hard for just a couple people to kind of review some of these materials, and then, you know, then we've got to live with them, for better or worse, if you haven't had that kind of turnaround. But more hands on deck, taking a look at those things and going through them, I think will be very good. We've talked about kind of working the bugs out as we go through this year and develop that baseline, and then hopefully in the next year or so, then we can extend that from pre-K to 5 too, and kind of start doing the same process once we streamline it a little bit better. But so far it's been pretty good. Like I said, departments met today, and I popped around to the different groups and we're checking in with them and stuff and seeing where they were at. And the high school's they talk a lot anyway about stuff, so they were all pretty lined out by the time we finished the day. And then I provided you guys with all the documents and stuff to kind of look at the bylaws that we kind of use to govern. I was elected the chairperson this time around. I'm going to give that away after this year, but I said I'm more than happy to do that this year, but I do want some other folks to kind of step up and start doing that. We just have a chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary in that, and then our first discussions and meetings were really good, and then hopefully by our May meeting, then we can start kind of making a plan for what we want to do next year in terms of that. But so far it's been a good process, and I look forward to it. I think it'll be a good system to have in place that will be sustainable and can just always be there.
So we have done, over the last 4 years, we've spent a lot on curriculum at the K-5 level as far as Go Math and Science and Vanilla, like if Science and Vanilla goes up to 8. So in our new goals document, we had started looking at middle school to high school. We were looking at some, obviously there was some science purchase this year, to start the year. By March, April, are we going to have something you think that you're going to want to purchase and have ready for fall of next year? Or are we
I don't think so.
You're probably a year
I
and a
doubt
half.
that. I doubt that we'll go that fast. I think we'll have a plan in place of where we need to start looking and who we need to start looking with, you know, first. And then I would say probably next year we'll take the time to, whatever those recommendations will be, to maybe start looking and reviewing materials and things, and then have something in place, you know, fairly quickly then.
Okay, so then we need to change our dating on that document. And what do you think for our next curriculum purchase? We put fall of 2023?
We don't have to change anything. The way that goal reads right now, evaluate and consider new subject area curriculum at middle school and high school. The sub-goal was the new middle school curriculum this fall. The other sub-goal just says continue to assess curriculum needs at the middle school and high school.
Did we not put a date on that as far as?
Not an end date, just to be updated twice a year, like January and July.
Okay,
Now, we can change the months if we want, based on how the committee's now laid out.
yeah, because we talked about the end of spring, I think, for a purchase next fall, but if you're talking about the following fall, then we.
Well, I don't know until we have the
Yeah.
the the reports and the recommendations, so it's hard to tell until we get, all that in for the teachers to
So
see
you're
really
gonna
where we're
Just
at.
tell us, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
Just tell us when.
So maybe we change the dates to, if you're talking about January meeting, obviously we're not gonna get an update in January then. So maybe we change to March and August or something like that. So that, I'm assuming any purchase that would be made for the, if you started the process in March, you have the
We
material.
should
in
have
August.
our recommendations prepared in January.
For the January meeting though?
Well, our meeting in January is January 3rd.
Oh,
So
okay.
barring a snow catastrophe or something like that, hopefully between November and January, we'll be able to get those
Okay,
knocked
so then
out.
we can review in January and July and go from there. Perfect. Anybody have any questions on that before we move on? Okay. And we need to go into new business at this time.
Yes.
So we need the motion to adopt the 2021-2022 district budget as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Matt Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Martha Leeper, call roll please.
Campbell,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Hilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
I've provided you all with this beautiful bound document that is the district audit. Per school code, the district has to pay an outside organization to come in and take a look at all of our finances. Lloyd Associates out of Clinton has been doing that for as long as I've been here. I've probably been doing it since the start of Sangamon Valley and maybe even prior to that, with both the former Hilly office and I in the Harristown district. So they have been doing it. They're good to work with. They help Carol out a lot. A couple things to point out with this entire document that people always seem to be interested in. First off, Roman numeral 7 are the findings from the audit. And even though it's marked new on Roman numeral 7 right at the beginning, the important stuff is the lack, or the findings that they are pointing out is this lack of segregation of duties. That's one of the things that, even though they put on here as new, it's something that, again, we've been talking about due to the limited staff that we have in the unit office, with just being Carol and I. What they don't really like is the fact that the person that's doing the ledger also has the ability, or really has to take in money, which now most of it is electronic deposit anyway. We really don't deal with a lot of money up in the unit office. But it's something that they have to point out. And they also don't like the fact that that person that controls the ledger book also has the ability to write checks. We have the district treasurer, which is Erica Bryan. She signs all of the checks and bills that you see in your vendor invoices each month. So if you go on and read this down, even though they really like for us to have somebody else in the unit office, and believe me, there's enough work in there that we could certainly have somebody else. And at some point, maybe on my way out, if we have a superintendent in mind, I would probably at that point recommend that that person look at hiring somebody to be the secretary, and there would be other duties that could kind of segregate the things that Carol does, kind of split those up and let her focus on the bookkeeping aspect of it. And right now, probably the biggest time-consuming thing for Carol would be the payroll. It would also be nice to have somebody in that office that if something, if Carol got sick, whatever reason, God forbid, if that happens on the day before payroll has to be submitted to the bank, we'd be in trouble. at some point, I think that we do need to have an additional person up in the unit office, and like I said, there are other duties that person will be in charge of, but I'm not recommending that at this particular moment, but it's something that on down the road that we probably ought to think about. And then the last item that I will touch on today is page 4 of the actual financial report. It's kind of back about halfway through the binder, and it gives us the estimated financial profile summary and gives us a rating. And better the rating, the better the interest rates that you can get if we would have to sell bonds at some point. So we try to keep that total score high enough that we are in recognition designation, which we are again this year. And I think that 3.7 will improve next year as well with the addition of the ESSER monies and building up our working cash again over this school year. So last year we had a review status. Our score was 3.45. This year it has gone up to 3.7. So I was hoping to get this to you a little bit earlier, but I was not able to. But I would go ahead and recommend that you approve the district, the fiscal year 21 school district audit.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the FY21 school district audit? Motion made by Josh Felber, is there a second? Second. Jessica Browning, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes?
Gilbert,
Yes.
Leeper, yes, Stahl, Wood,
Yes.
Browning, yes, Campbell.
Yes.
Sure. So as we go, hopefully maybe to conference this year, we have to assign a delegate voting member that would vote in behalf of Sangamon Valley. Martha has always done this for us, and I would, unless anyone else would like to go, I would recommend that she do it again this year. It's up to you. At that, during part of our 2-day conference, it takes up a little bit of the morning, depends on how controversial, yes, that's the word I want to use. Some of their issues are, and you just go and vote. And we discuss the things that's going to be voted upon before going, so she knows which way the entire board wants to vote and that kind of thing, so. And I'm probably not going, I messed up this year. And said I was going, not realizing I had a grandbaby due just a few days before. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm not going to be able to go, so. Anyway, I would say we need a motion to designate Martha Weaver as the voting member of the ISB Delegate Assembly.
So moved.
Motion made by Jessica Browning, seconded by Lori Campbell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
So we'll do that in November, when we go, on a presentation.
Lori, Jessica, and Martha at this point. Unless A, they cancel it, or B, I don't have a grandbaby at that time. Okay, so King Water.
Next, I put in your board packet a quote from King Water to do some work in the middle school bathrooms. The work will kind of encompass both the boys and the girls bathrooms, both ends of the middle school wings. Currently, the boys' urinals, well, at least 5 of the 6 urinals that are operational, they flush on a timer and have this large tank. So it's not like someone would step up, use the urinal, and step away from it and would flush. Things just kind of sit there. And then when the timer goes off, the tank empties and it flushes all the urinals at once. Not the best. Apparently in 1957, 58, when that was put in, maybe that was the way they did things,
Revolutionary.
but not good. It was something that needed to be done. I wanted to get through the NG project and kind of see where we were with that, but at this point, I think it's time to do that. They will also add new hot water heaters in both ends, which will provide nice warm water for the kids to wash their hands. So, as long as they're not tearing up the bathrooms, we'll try to get them fixed.
So then we need a motion to approve the bid from King Water for bathroom repair at the middle school for the amount of $7,207.
So moved.
Motion made by Matt Wood, is there a second?
Second.
Martha Leeper, call roll please.
Stahl?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Browning?
Yes.
Campbell? Yes. Guerrero?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes.
I don't think I put that, I apologize. I missed it. You have that, Martha,
The motion?
the motion
All
line
right.
for the.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the facility use, I will have a couple of projects. There are 3 doors that need attention on the backside of this building. One is the one that goes into the storeroom. The other one is the walk-through door down on this side of the ag shop, and then the boys' locker room. I'm looking to put new hardware on the boys' locker room. I think that door is salvageable. But I think this door here is going to need to be replaced, and that door down there is going to be replaced. It will come in under the $12,000 limit that I need to go out and get bids for. But if I can get him moving on that, I would like to probably go ahead and approve that and get the doors ordered so they can be installed before the snow flies. Usually there's about a month lead time to get the doors in, so if we wait until October, it's probably going to be November
Or
before, yeah. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that. When I get the bid for the door repair, I will send that out to you guys and let you take a look at it. If anybody completely objects to it, just let me know, but I'm going to definitely need to do that. And I also reached out to Alltech Electric about the possibility of upgrading a bank of lights on our football field, right in the center field, or right in the center of the field. On the visitor side, we have 2 lights out. Those lights are obsolete. You can no longer get bulbs for them. And instead of just replacing 2 lights, when we have to order a lift and do all of those things, as those lights go out, I will probably start replacing those one complete bank at a time. But he's supposed to be working up some different options. I'm going to reach back out to him and see where we are on that. But that's something else that if I can get scheduled before football season's over, I will do. If not, then we'll probably wait until spring. So that's all I have on construction projects, at least for now.
Okay. And then we have Alan Farrell is asking to use the softball fields in Harristown, Minneapolis, pending proof of liability insurance.
He's not got that paperwork back to me. There was just an update that he needed to do. I think it's more of a formality or anything than anything else, but I will not allow him to hold practice unless we have that in hand.
And this, I refresh my memory, is this for like a travel team or the same about like?
It's for a travel team that has a good number of Sangamon Valley and Tracy Hills.
They ever interviewed in high schools or something?
They did some work out there, but I can't honestly say if anybody ever practiced out there or not.
So do we want to go ahead and do this motion now, just pending the proof of insurance? So motion to allow Alan Farrell to use the softball fields in Harristown and Minneapolis pending proof of liability insurance. Motion made by Josh Helbert, is there a second? Matt Wood. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And our next regular meeting is scheduled for October 20th at 6 p.m. back here in this very same location. If you can't make it, please let us know. We need to make sure we always have a quorum. And at this time, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Westfall, seconded by Ware.